We're in Deep Spring. I know that the children are not at their absolute optimum best. But you know what? It's fun to do this kind of work. We're having so much fun over here, we didn't know when to stop, but we're kind of slowed down. We didn't get to heat, but we'll get to that one too. But something we did last time I really liked, and it was diverse. See, I want us to be diverse. I want us to have not necessarily the final discussions tonight. Let's get to what we're going to look at. Let's focus on what we feel strongly about, put it down, and ponder a little bit, and then come back together and bring that architect in out and find out how much it's going to cost. Because realistically, you come with another $55 million bond, more than likely, and this is opinion, it may be met with the same reaction the last one was met with. Now, that's on us, because that's where we will determine what we're going to recommend. The board president made it very clear, very, very clear, that he wanted the district to have transparency, the district to have, and each one of the board members that I've talked with, and I've talked to most every one of them that are in this room right here, and I know that they want, and I've read on the other board members, I know they want the absolute best we can do. They want a customized district, serves our school. We're special. We are. If you didn't go around Friday night, you missed something. And we are special. We beat the state champion and the group over in Texas A&M Commerce when I play. I've seen that 3 times. We do it better every time. And we had real good effort out of a baseball program who lost to that team and beat them 5-0 this time. So we're working at what we're doing. We're improving in all different areas. We got the big trophy again. If you go upstairs to Mr. Hotchkiss's room, I implore you, if you haven't done this, do it. There's a whole slew of big trophies up there. Now, he's not going to brag. He won't even get himself in the picture. He won't even let himself be in the picture.
We're
We are. Hey, we got the big trophies to prove it. We beat old rich kids at Pleasant Grove 125 points in case anybody can't keep him score. I was. So anyway, I was very proud of our efforts that we made and all the kids that took pride in being part of that team. And there was a huge number of events. But anyway, we've got lots to be proud of. And what I would like to hopefully see us do is to hone in on the educational specs or quality education within all of this discussion. Keep that in the back of your mind about how it relates to the individual students and their parents and the pride they have in our school. We talked about Everett and the restrooms, the bathrooms, and the moving the offices, making it more safe, those kinds of things. You know, we can do those things. We really can. Renovation is the way. I mean, I've had experience in that, and several of the others have too. It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot to it, but you can do renovations. You can do that as part of your package. Hopefully, we will. But anyway, that's again a decision of the group. I don't look for consensus, but I want a big majority. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I would give you or even give me or anybody in this room that's on this committee power of veto. I think that's ridiculous. Do you think about it? Because you have something and I have something that might not be a good idea. So anyway, what we'll try for is a major majority. Let's talk about each campus if we can. And if you got an idea, shout it out. And let's write them down. Scribe, where's our scribe? There he is. Make sure that put some big highlight notes. We'll send this out to everybody so you can ponder it before our next meeting. When we get to the next stage, which is the how, that's huge. Cost, and then the how-to, how are we going to present it? All those are 3 major stages. So tell me about what y'all did. Y'all said y'all had pretty much consensus over there. Love to hear some consensus, if you don't mind. Mr. Hotchkiss et al.
I'm sorry?
Would y'all tell us about your consensuses?
What we were talking about, several people did some really good ideas, and so I jotted this down, so you guys correct me if I'm wrong on this. We close Higgins, and we utilize and renovate Everett, Bailey, and Stone. And so that like Everett would become pre-K, K, and 1? Is that right what we said? And
Partially, yeah.
Okay, well, okay, then tell me where I'm wrong then. Huh?
Not Bailey.
No Bailey? What?
They
Okay.
weren't saying anything about Bailey.
No? But we may, okay, we'll renovate what we have to then. So then second and third grade at Bailey, fourth and fifth at Stone?
No, can you correct me if I'm wrong?
No, because...
We were thinking more like the pre-K, K, and 1, possibly 2, not for sure about the space, but like at Everett. Do away with Higgins and Bailey.
Oh, do away with Bailey. Oh.
Yes, because
Sorry,
Bailey,
kids.
it's got issues. Y'all done a great job
Mhm.
cosmetic-wise, I think,
Mhm.
doing the best you can with it. But since the late 80s, Bailey, there's been a hole in the girls' dressing room that you could put your arm through. And you can repair and repair that, and it's still, after time, it's going to go back. I mean, that dirt is just poor, poor, poor. So anyway, utilize Everett if we could, utilize Stone, and then the high school, and then something to think about. I'm just saying, throwing it. I just told them throwing it out there, and like move the middle school over here, and then look at a bond for a new high school facility, possibly.
It would probably also include sports complexes, football stadium, baseball stadium. things
Now,
like that.
one suggestion, since I've been walking around listening to all this, and I've been listening a lot, not just tonight, but every time. I like the idea of having some ties to it, but let's hold the timeline off for another meeting. The direction, I think we can all agree on the direction that we need to start heading toward. The timelines have to be discussed, and we can't really get the timelines done until we know what it all costs. But this idea of using what we got at Everett, pre-K, K, and 1, or making sure that Stone is a big part of whatever we're doing. It's big.
And there might be another, like, he was looking at maybe possible two new buildings.
Yes.
Okay, looking at what we need to do. But I just feel like I'm going to speak for me.
Okay.
I feel like we've met and we've talked, and we know what poor shape Higgins is in Bailey. And we need to get ready to make our next step. No, I might be the only one that thinks that way.
I'm just saying, timeline, we've got to think in terms of months and years. And like, I know a lot of work has been being done. The board, I think, spent over $1 million in the last 2 years. And even since we met on March the 11th, they've spent money doing stuff. And we're proud of all that work. You can't trade for that effort. But we've got to look at timelines.
Okay, so when you say timeline, are you thinking timeline as in we need to look at maybe a year or two this going on?
What are we going to do this year? What are we going to do the next year? What are we going to do the next year?
Well, personally speaking for myself, not this group, I feel like that Mr. Landis right here is highly qualified and knows what needs to be done. Okay? And I feel like our board knows the needs better than I know the needs. Okay? To make those necessary improvements. Okay? And so I don't know what I can offer as an individual that, like I said, Mr. Landis knows what needs to be done, and the board, that the administration knows what needs to be done.
But the money we're talking about is significant. When you start talking about $24 million, $25 million, $29 million, or even some of the building construction, in those other bonds, building 2 buildings, spending 55 million or 44.9 million, whatever. That's a discussion we're going to have. But what I'm saying is that renovation is going to have to be part of that, as you're mentioning, as y'all's group has mentioned. And we don't know for sure right now what kind of dollar we're talking about. But we need to put down what we want as priorities, then look at the dollar from the architect and the board and the administration, whoever.
What was your second building, if you were going to build a new elementary or?
Well, I was thinking, a lot of times you'll hook the kids, or one of our teammates were saying, well, you'll hook the kids right off when they're first going into school. And then they'll, a lot of times stay at that school because that's their friends and they don't want to leave. So if you had a new building at pre-K or kindergarten.
Okay, so that would be the other building.
I was thinking if that was new, you got to hook a lot of new taxpayers.
Right. Because we talked about doing that, combining all the elementary into a huge complex, kind of like Aiken did many years ago. The possibility of that too. Then when they said build a new high school, for some reason, I like that idea better. I don't know why.
Well, we're going to get to all that. But one thing, let me brag on the board administration a minute. Some of you may not know this. They're looking at big picture. I've been sitting through these board meetings for about 5 decades, okay? I've sat through a ton of them. I've worked with directly and personally at least 5 dozen board members, and a lot of them are good ones, okay? So I feel fairly tired when I watch some of this. But I heard something they liked that I really liked when they were talking about pre-K. They said, we may not get that help from the state. Really? Okay. I believe you. And what are we going to do with pre-K, adding pre-K at these 2 campuses? And the principals made a great presentation, and the other administrators nodded and said some, and the board all talked about the big picture, I was so proud of y'all. I really was. That was great. And that's what I hear us saying from that group. We need to look at the big picture. We need to look at the idea of capturing these parents and making sure they stay with us and don't move out. We had all kinds of teachers leave 2 years ago. We don't want that ever happening again. We don't want it going on anymore. But that's good. That whole idea of hooking them early.
We also have a related issue, though, as we discussed.
Y'all go ahead.
About the timeline between beginning the construction and when the child actually gets to enjoy the facilities. And I would agree with the argument that it's the idea of my child is going to be in a new upper level building, the high school, or close to the high school. As even if I've got a 4th or 5th grader, the idea that we're building a new high school, by the time my child is in high school, they're going to get to enjoy this brand new facility.
You may get more community support doing it that way, because people that have kids already in school may be more for the problem.
And then we have the issue of the types of things that our newspaper and our news stations cover are your sports and your fine arts. They're the flashy things. And so presenting them with a outdated sports field and an auditorium that will sit everyone, but we're also
Here's the thing to always remember too, that we can tell you, TASB's always trained us that it's easier to pass a bond for a high school than it is to pass a bond for elementary.
When I see that's y'all's call, though.
Hold on, y'all's call. I want to just tell you our training. The thing about it is too, it doesn't make me, I'm whatever, okay? The thing to remember too is, if we're going to build one big elementary, that's what we just did twice. So we got to figure out a way to touch the taxpayer in a way that we hadn't done it before, and that's not anybody's fault. We just have to do it differently.
Well, we do have to do it different. But I like that thinking about looking for the parents to be planning for their children forward. That is so strong. That's sound.
as far as the timeline.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone that's going to argue that Higgins has a shelf life.
Yes.
Structurally, we were told by the architect, it is unsound and we cannot make it sound. So if we're talking 2 years, then So we have to look to see what are we going to do in 2 years when those students, or the students that will be in that building at that time, where are we moving them?
Well, does everybody agree that there's a shelf life on Higgins?
I was just gonna say, don't we all need to agree on that first? Is the first
I think so.
objective getting rid of Bailey and Higgins? Does everybody agree on that?
How do y'all feel? Let's talk about Higgins first. That's right. You're right. Does anybody think we need to renovate and do something long-term, say over 5 years with Higgins? All
I
right.
think neither one. Basic construction.
All right, what
Whatever
about-
he says for the safety of the kids until we follow through with a bigger plan.
That's right.
Something on that?
No, not yet.
Let me say something, please.
Just 1 second, okay?
Do y'all realize how much money we're putting into Higgins?
Yes, that's an issue. That really is a huge
That's
issue.
why I said, you know what's going on.
And to fix that foundation,
Yeah, you-
they're talking
Well,
$16 million.
I hear us saying shelf life for Higgins. That's what I'm hearing. Now, Bailey, tell me, shelf life for Bailey?
Only on one hall.
For the sake of minutes, because it's very hard to keep up with the minutes, because we're kind of all over the place, can we take one campus at a time and find out what the problems are, and then the solution, because poor Lana is over here, and we're trying to keep minutes for, it's crazy.
No, you're right. Very good. There's
I'm sorry?
organizational left brain work coming out right there. That's very good. Now, before we go into individual things that have to be done to have a shelf life, is there anybody that has an objection for me writing down that Bailey has a shelf life too? Anybody have a problem with that? Yes,
Parts
sir.
of that.
You want to
Parts
look
of
at
it.
partial?
What I need an architect to tell me
All right.
is what's the best option for that. Is it best to just go ahead and knock it all down and build another one? Or there's some very usable parts over there at Bailey that it may save some money to tack onto it.
All right, let's cooperate with, I think that we have to answer that call. We ought to answer that. But one thing that we definitely need to do is try to get them to a point where they can write something down. And we can too, our scribe can write something down too. All right, before we get into all the things that need to be done at each campus, which one do you want to take first? Which one? Anybody have a preference? Which one do you want to take first?
Well, let's keep going as we go up from Higgins. Let's go from pre-K,
All
now
right.
we're up at, we're
Okay.
at Everett.
Why don't we go to Everett? Okay? Is that all right with everybody? Talk about Everett? This group here said that Everett needs plumbing help with the bathrooms. They need to move the office area to for the security. And that was talked about over and over. I walked it twice. I walked all these twice. And I heard that over and over again, that they want to make that safer, and so they want to move those things. And the feasibility of that, I know we haven't had an architect give us how much, but feasibility of that is there. Now, what else, if that's permissible?
When you say plumbing, what specifically are you talking about?
Bathrooms haven't been
Infrastructure?
updated in a long time, and it's expensive.
That's, and when we're talking, as a taxpayer, when we're talking money, we're talking the areas, replacing countertops, because the stuff as far as updating, what was above the ground, I put that low on the list, other than.
What do y'all think about Everett and the bathrooms?
That back
I'm not looking at
bathroom where
anybody, I'm not trying to get off on any
There's a
tangent.
back bathroom where the cabinetry looks temporary, like they stuck
Okay.
something in there.
Yeah.
But the front bathrooms in the hallway, they're old, they're functional, plumbing works. I don't know, if I have a limited amount of money, I would not put that as high as some areas on other campuses. That's mine.
What about the roof?
The roof is very important at Everett. It's the worst roof we have in the district. Okay?
That's what I heard.
And if you don't have a roof, you don't have the inside. You don't have
And
the-
that was affecting electrical infrastructure as well.
Mhm.
We had damage to technology units due to the.
Y'all all pretty much in agreement over there about that? Go with that?
Rick, is the roof something that, is the roof something that can be
Yeah.
fixed or easily, or is it not?
Yeah, well, that goes back to, okay, you take every, it's a building, okay? It's the worst roof we have, we patch it, we spend $30,000 to $40,000 a year on patching roofs. Most of it's spent there, okay?
Is it something that can be fixed easily, or?
No, it's
Renovation.
It's gonna have to have a new roof. The other thing is the bathrooms, yeah, they're old, they're outdated, okay? The plumbing's fine, we had some sewer issues that the city's they've taken care of one section of it. It was on the city side out on Steelhouse. Since Christmas, they took care of that. They dug it up, fixed it. We hadn't seen any more issues since then, okay? We had some drainage issues with water getting back in the buildings because we built the landscape up too much. But we're gonna correct that as soon as school's out. But there's a lot of things, it's not just a roof, it's not just bathrooms. I mean, there's a lot of things these principals ask for. Intercom systems, that's a security thing. Lockdown, security, moving that office up front. There's a lot that goes into just one building. It's not just a roof, it's not just bathrooms.
We're going to make a list of it, though, and we're going to put it out there in bold print so that everyone can read it. And then we're going to ask how much it costs, and which part do we want to do, if not all.
Then the other issue, and he touched on it, that for the safety, was that not having the intercoms in all of the classrooms.
Yeah. Well, our intercoms are outdated. The systems are. There's a lot of wiring issues.
It sounds like we've got that on multiple campuses as well.
Yes, we do have it at every campus.
But if we have any kind of option that goes forward with the renovation, those kinds of things have got to be addressed. Because they're not something that you can fix with $150 on an afternoon. You got to get in there and do the work.
But then I think of us all at home, we have.
Oh, absolutely.
We have Nest.
It's never ends.
We have TV doorbells that we buy off the internet. I know we can't do that at schools, but it just amazes me that there's not someone that come up with a system with
You
Wi-Fi.
take one campus, Everett, and you start from the smallest thing and work your way up to the most important thing, which is the roof. Okay? We just, 111 in that building was pouring rain. It filled up new light fixtures. We just had that building changed out to LED. Okay? They warranty them, but they're not going to warranty them because we got water running in them. But we got to go all the way to the littlest thing, or from the littlest all the way to the biggest thing. Put a package together for that one building. Just because you built a new high school, don't mean you're not going to have all these other things out there in the bond package.
Good.
Renovation work.
Good.
When I was at Paris, we done work at every campus we had through that bond election, the bond process. We didn't just build a new high school. We renovated every building we had. And the same thing's got to go here. We just got to prioritize the list that we have, the things that are concerns at each campus. The most important thing over there is the roof right now, and it's the biggest cost that we're going to have.
And the other security issue that I had down was the door to the library. And that was.
Yeah, there's no way to, and that's what I'm saying. We've got to look at one campus, and there's a lot that goes into one campus. Security-wise, roof, plumbing, bathrooms, intercoms. There's a lot. We just got to make one list per campus and make sure we don't forget anything on that campus, then move to the next one. You know, like Higgins, we all know what needs to happen to Higgins. It needs to go to the ground. We're wasting money. We're pouring money into that place, okay? Right and left. I just poured some more money into it, but that's what we have to do. Take in mind now, we still have to keep up with the city and what the city's asked us to do. So that's cost going out every day. So same thing at Bailey. We still have to keep that up. We still have to monitor the movement of those buildings. A contractor has to do that, turn a report in to the board. It has to be took to the city. So that's still a cost.
What about Aaron Park? Aaron Park roof on the hall that burns?
Roof, intercom, has no insulation in the building.
Electrical issues?
The gym, if it's going to be the showcase for the community out there, we've got to make it a showcase and not have glitches here and there. That's part of it. We talked about, in our group, we talked about the roof on that one section that burned back in the 90s, I guess it was.
So are we prioritizing then?
No, we're listing.
We're just listing it.
We're listing the priorities. Now, Jim, does anybody, I know the people at Aaron Parker know, but that gym is used all the time by that community. And it's a showcase one way or the other for us.
I just have a question. I mean, like when you go and build a home, and so you get your interim note. And so there are things that you don't want to put on that 30-day mortgage, which I would consider maybe doing a bond, that there are some things that I would buy myself, like my appliances or something, because I don't want to put that 30-day note on it. So would this kind of be the same thing, is that we would put a list of things that would go in a bond, and then we would have the things that we would consume at the school? I mean, our school, I don't know what our working money is or whatever. I don't know all that stuff, but it seems to me we wouldn't, do we want everything on a bond?
No.
Can I
Or
say, that bond that Rick's talking about, when we did that one over there, we did exactly kind of what y'all were talking about a while ago. Built a new high school, new football field, new athletic facilities, roofs on every building, air conditioners on every building, renovated everything. That was 10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. We got it for $54 million. And they told us, and we went by training, that if you'll include that high school, that all the mamas and daddies that are currently in your school right this minute, okay, will go for that because they know their kids are going to go through 4 years of high school. Right, Rick?
Yes, sir.
Am I telling that right?
No,
Okay.
you're right.
So with that, the only argument we had over there was about football field. They didn't want to do a new football field because they always played at Noy Stadium. Okay? Here, personally, I hear a lot about let's do a new football field because it's so jammed and crammed, and we know we need a band hall. There's no argument to that, right? It's you know, the money. I just going to say, this is just me speaking. Okay? I don't know that the money's the problem as much as we have to be very transparent about what we're doing and why do we need it. I don't think we did a good job of that before, and that's nothing against anybody.
No.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear. The
Thank
band
you.
hall, there's
That's-
no question. I've never talked to anybody in the school district who doesn't understand the band hall situation, that we've just flat out grown their for it. I'm just telling you, don't be scared of the number if we can be transparent about what we're doing.
That's right.
That bond passed 76%, and it will do it here too. But as far as to answer your questions from a school board member's perspective, when you start doing things like that, to be honest with you, right this minute, I can almost tell you, we don't have the money to do that. It's going to have to be a bond.
And one thing that I did, I hope it's okay.
Sure.
Is I went and looked at the budget that you got here,
For this
because
year.
I've done 14 of them.
For this
And
year.
I'm telling you, this budget is low. And probably your consultant that you had up here, I wasn't here for that meeting, probably told you that too. But what is it, 25 million for operational budget, something like that, 24, 25? For comparison purposes, when you look at it, the truth is you don't have enough money to do all those things we're talking about.
That's what I'm.
We just don't. And I've heard you say that many, many times. But if we know kind of what we want to attack, then we can next time look at how we're going to attack it. Because there's more than one way, and there's combos to doing this. And we can think through that together. The thing that I want to make sure we got down is what they're talking about over here. Have it down what we want. What's the what? Do we want a roof at Aaron Parker on that part that burned it, where they put a flat roof in East Texas, where it leaks all the time? I would hope so. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I have 5 things at Parker.
Go ahead.
That I told. Repair the roof, repair the floor beam, intercom system throughout, which ties into the electrical issues, though, adding a box or, and then the insulation. Those are the 5 points that I wrote down.
Yes, most of that we've seen through the walkthrough has already been repaired. We've done that since, when was our last meeting?
March 11th.
March 11th.
When you say that, like the beam's already been done?
Some of that, we still have more. We're doing it in sections. You know, we kind of shut down this last week because of testing. But Sinwick has already done the 2 floors, like in the teacher's lounge and that one classroom. We've addressed some leaks.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that they were dense, I didn't write those down.
So,
Did we get our septic system?
yes, Exxon has took care of that, out of Parker. That was an issue. We have a retention pond, so that's a little different animal than being in town, being on city sewer. So, with all the rain we've had, our retention pond sometimes can get out there a little bit, so we have to do some certain things to make it work properly. And that's just, it doesn't matter where you're at, with that much rain we've had in 3 months, you have to do it.
That's right.
And I personally did not prioritize the gym
I
there. Strictly looking at it, again, as a taxpayer, but then again, see, I live in Reno. I don't live up there and use it. But if it were my pocket money that I'm talking about, I would see that more as something that the community might address, since that's how it's being used.
One thing that was mentioned earlier is if you include everybody in whatever it is that you want done, they'll tend to support it because everybody has a piece of the pie. And this business about the roof and the gym, you know, except for like, I was out there when they did the fire department deal, and they had 1 million people through there. And I sat across the table from a lady that played 6-person basketball there, 3-on-3. And talked about it and how she made this goal down here. All right, they take pride in that building. That building is a WPA building, as y'all know, and it's after we get through whatever it is we're going to do. We talked about this whole idea of maybe making an historical site and doing some of that. But you got to do all your repairs first because the state won't let you do the repairs in certain ways. But anyway. Those 5 are certainly should be included. Is there others on Parker? Other stuff? Parker.
We got lighting issues, but we've got a grant put in. We put in for a grant.
That lighting business is very good. Does everybody see it?
Well, you got T12.
The cafeteria, dressing it up a little bit like Crystal talked about.
We hadn't done that. We kind of, our funds are
I
kind of.
understand. All right. We've talked about Everett, Parker, high school. What about talking about the middle school a little bit? You want to talk about the middle school a little bit? Safety, security. Stone. We'll talk. Y'all want to go to Bailey first before we go to Stone? All right, we'll go to Bailey first. Go ahead. Part of it is. Some of it, they spent a lot of time and effort renovating already. I think that you got, what is it, the 4th grade hall that they've done all that work in?
Remember, we did not address any slab issue. 4th grade at Ace, okay? I mean,
Bailey.
I'm still thinking.
No, you're good.
But anyway, at Bailey, we didn't address the slab issues, okay? All we done was done a makeover. Paint, carpet, fix sheetrock, squared it up, lowered the ceiling grid, put 2x2 because it's easier to handle and keep the city off of us on the ceiling curling up or, fire rating, stuff like that. So the slab issue has not been repaired, and here's the thing. You come out 18 inches off the wall in that classroom, you start jackhammers, you're going to open up a whole other can of worms that we can't afford.
Tell me, what can we look at renovations for Bailey? You're right, you're absolutely correct.
Short term or long term?
Short term.
We've already invested in the short term.
Short term.
We've invested a whole bunch in that short term at 4th grade hall.
Here's the thing, guys, if you do a bond and you build a building right now, you're 5 years before you're going to get into it. What we have done, the money we've spent was to buy those 5 or 6, 7 years.
Yes.
So that we could get a plan here and get something going.
That's good.
There's not really much more we can do.
Anything else at Bailey? What about the 5th grade hall, which by the way is pretty solid.
The only complaint that I got pulling was the windows, and we just don't open it.
And I've got some pricing on that. I haven't approached Ms. Stewart or the board with it yet because I want to get more of an idea of what we got going on with those windows, because it was on the city list too. So we have done some, but not all, just as we can run up on them when they turn them in. But that's something that we're going to have to do It's like Mr. Richardson said, right now, if we started right now, we're 5 years out, okay? So that's what I was saying a while ago to y'all. You still have costs going out to keep Bailey and Higgins operational.
I love
So
that
they can
shelf
stay-
life. Didn't you like that shelf life term? I thought that was really good.
Now, the gym,
What is Bailey? I know there's been a lot of effort already, but what else? Anything else?
The
I'd
autism
like,
unit. I was just gonna say the autism unit.
Yes,
Something
the
that-
shower and all that.
Absolute
Well,
area, that's all I
I called the ADA. I called the ADA specialist regarding the shower issue. The shower is going to kick in construction issues that we probably don't want to do. However, because that bathroom is not a primary use area, the ADA's, the functionality of the ADA law approaching accessibility is not impacted. We should be able to add a standing, on-demand hot water unit in a single sink, because that's not a primary, the bathroom, they said, is not a primary function. Even under Title II, it would be a classroom that would be a primary function of that. And so I'd like to consider that we look into putting in a standalone hot water unit on one of those sinks that he can access somehow.
Wrote that down. That's good.
I don't disagree with you, but to do what we need to do to make that happen down there, we really need to back up and look at this situation. Either we need to try to move the autism unit to another location, because remember, if you looked at those reports, the back of Bailey gym cannot be used, okay? So we're limited in spaces, so those are still gym bathrooms. They're not classroom bathrooms, they're the gym bathrooms. So they still use them as a whole. Now, as far as the plumbing issues go, we can get hot water from where it used to be a hot water heater, if we put a hot water heater in. But the floor and stuff and the grate in those bathrooms, to be able to get a wheelchair in there if we had to, we'd have to do a lot of changing. I mean, the cost would get way out. And I'm not saying that, that would be something the board, Ms. Stewart would have to make a decision on, because it's gonna get costly to put that shower in.
It wouldn't be a shower. That's when, if we tried to put a shower in, that's where it kicks in the accessibility.
Well, it changes, because we have to bring it up to the codes
Right.
now, where we can't, there's no way we could get to the codes now.
But just adding hot water to a sink.
We can add hot water to a sink. And we can add one that we can adjust the temperature on because of the grade level.
And that, it sounded, correct me if I'm wrong, that would suffice for his immediate needs, especially since we're talking shelf life of the building.
That'd be a game changer.
So you're talking one sink with just hot water.
One sink with hot water, that the autism instructor can.
Well, I know originally they talked about the shower, that's the reason.
Yeah, when I ran that by him, then we were looking at the accessibility.
See, 2 years ago, we didn't even, this is our first time having autism unit, so we kind of jumped into this, and we had them inside Bailey, okay, we had to move them. When we moved back from the portables back into the main building, so we had to find another section for them to go to. So there's, over there where they were at, they had the bathroom with hot water and that kind of stuff, but over here, they don't have it. So, I don't know if it's, we can put a hot water heater, we just gotta make sure we can adjust it because of the age level. And, like I say, it's still an open bathroom because of the gym area. So, that's just something I'll have to bring to Ms. Stewart and the board, and get a cost on it, but, there's just no way we would open up a can of worms as far as, codes and stuff come into play to add a stand-up shower, a capable shower handling a wheelchair and stuff like that in that bathroom.
What about the 5th grade hall? Is there anything that we remember from the 5th grade hall that would be good to help them?
The main complaints, I work in the 5th grade hall, is the air conditioners and windows. That's the main complaints.
I wrote down windows, but AC also.
Okay. Temperature control.
Hey. What about, is there anything else?
Yes.
I promised y'all a decent hour of exit. Now, tell me about middle school. Tell me about middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Colonel Stone.
Security
Security's a big one.
Walking across the street.
That's right, the street. We talked about the street, didn't we? Safety. Security. You know, when you talk about movement, there's some issues that can be, or some things that possibly can be considered there. As far as, not just having a temporary tunnel.
Another issue, fine arts, inadequate size, strong stage, temperature issues in the band hall, leading to cracking of instruments, and space.
That whole area across the street is what you're talking about.
We have multiple leaks in the gymnasium causing issues on the sealed floor. And we have another safety security is a need for new doors. Security doors.
It's the number of doors in it.
Yes.
Building needs new
Front,
doors.
that are the main security issue. The number of doors.
And I also wrote down no water sprinkler system. Were we talking about a fire? Is it a fire?
There are no,
But doesn't that kick in, are y'all saying was
not
not
a water sprinkler system, and there are no pools either in the building anywhere. The only places I believe that have them are Gibbons and Bailey, which is ironic.
Yeah.
Well, you have a sprinkler system, it depends on when the building was built, and the code that's in place now, like the high school, it's got a sprinkler system, okay? Stone doesn't have one. So, as far as fire protection, if we're grandfathered in now, if we do anything, which just goes back to a bond, and us moving to the high school, just like you're talking about fine arts in the band hall not being enough room, so you move to the high school, then that's resolved, because then you gotta be high school. See what I'm saying? You gotta think of those things.
It makes more sense to agree on the larger plan first, to me, and then go down.
Well, it'd be good to do it that way, but we've got to make sure we have the background information of the different areas. And we promised that we would cover every campus. To me, Stone's very important. The reason that Stone's so important is because it's going to be a central player in whatever's done. It's going to be a big-time home for a bunch of kids. So we've got to address all of it.
Continue using it for the grades we currently have there.
That's right.
We're talking.
That is something that you have to consider, obviously. You're right. But things like movement and the things like, you know, they were talking about things like paint and what needs to be a part of the overall appearance of it when you come in, those kinds of things that jump out.
I'll say this, I'll commend our principals, because they spend their own money to try to get some of that done, and they do it every year. Ms. Stewart I know Ms. Stewart's our superintendent, but at the time, she was willing to do that out of her own budget. Ms. Malone's done it, Ms. Sanders has done it, so they're helping. These principals have helped a lot.
It's amazing how much money they spend. I mean, it really is. When you start thinking about it, it really is amazing. They spent tens of thousands of dollars on these campuses.
They kind of recognize things that they can do in-house with their money. And we get it gathered up and we get it done. It's just, you know, Stone, we haven't paid any attention to on the inside, we really need to. But as far as structural wise, that building,
It's solid.
it's solid. We do need new windows, we got single pane windows. As far as the doors go, I've talked to the fire marshal, we cannot change the entry and exit of any building we have. It was designed to unload so many kids, there's so many people in that building at that time that building was designed and architected that we would draw up. So we can't close it out, because we were thinking about closing some of those doors in front of Stone, and they told us no. So Ms. Stewart, she was in on that, and she'll tell you what we come up with. So we're thinking about taking some out because there were so many to replace, but we can't do that because we have to leave it as it was designed.
I don't want to keep you more than an hour and a half. is there anything else that jumps off the page at you? Have we done a little bit better on listing some of that? Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Mr. Jones, one other thing that we really have to keep an eye on right now, the school board, we went to Region 8 to a training with a group of lawyers out of Houston last week, and there is currently a bill on the floor designed for bond elections where you can only list one option and not several options like we have in the past. So we're hoping that does not pass.
Yes, we hope that's voted down.
We can
The last two bonds, you're right, the last two bonds has been one option, and it, both of them.
That's the only thing you.
Right, yeah. But if we can make it as transparent as we can, but if we are bound by the law to do that, we have to, go within it, you're right. Is there anything else that we've left out? I don't want to keep y'all too long, but I want you to feel like you've had your say. Okay. Now, before next time, I'm gonna get with some people that are interested, and we're gonna walk the facility over here, Dawson facility, and the other building over here that we don't have. Well, it's not really a campus, but we're gonna go. Anything else that I'm leaving out? Next time, do you want to meet in the latter part of April, or do you want to kick it on into May? Well, that was an issue last time. We don't want to be too close to the meetings. What do you want to do?
Are we not going to take the last 5 minutes and hit the high school?
Let's hit the high school. I didn't mean to leave the high school out. So far in the high school, I've heard band rehearsal and practice areas, and the floor. We had all that discussion about the floor and the safety of the doors and the business about the roof patching. There may be other stuff. This building's not, it's not that bad. We can use it, come through and do a big time maintenance hit, cleaning it, because it's been here for 2 decades now. So we got to do a bunch of stuff with that, but that's not exactly what we're talking about as far as big time renovations. This thing about the band, though, the rehearsal hall not being big enough, you can't even get your whole bunch in there at one time, can you? Can't do it. They're practicing in the hall. They're practicing in the bathrooms. They went 1, 2, and 3 and stayed. There's not a band in 50 miles that can say anything even close to that in marching. And they got what is it, John Philip Sousa Award? That's what. Go ahead, I'm sorry, high school.
And also for the high school, when we went through it, concerns for space for the career and technology expansion too. I think that's important.
Because it is going to expand. Yes. Career and technology. I think we're adding something even within the next school year or so. We're trying to look at that anyway. Yeah. That's a good consideration. Anything else?
Keep in mind on the north side, okay, most of our utilities come in, water, the city, so it would be really costly to bust down a wall and push out north towards the north. So if we've done something, we have to go back east.
You're right.
It's taking real estate.
Yes.
I've had people bring up a comment about moving up. Well, building up is really costly. So just take in mind when you're thinking about this in the band hall, and I don't disagree with what Mr. Jones needs because he needs it, but going north would really, really be costly.
How to attack it. But we agree that we need to attack it.
Still like the pushing out onto the basketball courts and
Yeah. From a renovation dollar standpoint, we'll hear more about it later, but yeah. Anything else about the high school? We're just blessed. We are with our schools, all the students that we have.
Can I make a suggestion?
Go ahead.
If I know I've said this and I want to repeat it again. If we go by campus and we take everything we've listed on that campus and we get a rough estimated cost of that, and you take it away that cost from these other buildings, because if you build a new high school, that cost is coming down, because you're moving kids.
Yes.
Different age groups, right?
You have to look at the options
Okay,
within
so-
within all the data.
You got to get the biggest bang for your buck. Well, and what's it, your high school, your kids are gonna talk more, your parents are gonna talk more. It gets out there more. And we're not fixing to say, I don't want anybody to be mad at you, okay?
I'm not gonna be
I'm
mad
just
at you.
looking- This is committee, I'm not the
Right.
maintenance director right now.
Right.
But when I first come on board, I looked at what we did as far as the bond election goes, okay? When we approached that, or y'all did, I didn't see enough, and I hadn't moved out of the district then, I still lived in Northmore District. I didn't see enough information. I didn't see, I wanted to see more about what the reasons, or what we were getting for what we were asking, okay? To me, transparency, I've heard it from
Everybody,
a whole bunch
we've
over
all
there.
said it, yeah.
You know, that's gonna be the biggest thing in this, if we do a bond election.
They have
Give
got
us
to
something to
believe,
look at.
they've got to believe in trusting this bunch.
And trust me,
We gotta have trust.
you got to get out front, because what they
Yeah.
don't know, trust me, they will make up.
That's why you
That's
gotta
right.
do
Yeah,
this.
you think?
Building by building studies, how much it costs to do this, and then just retract it from a new high school.
That's good.
That way you know, hey, okay, I got
It's a
$54
pretty
million.
good point, yeah.
But
It's cheaper to do it this, cheaper to build a new
How-
high school and not do this at Stone or not do this over here.
the cost,
Kids.
the next stage is cost. And then what he's talking about is very, very important, is how to, and how we're gonna present that to the board for their thoughts. Because each one of them is gonna have different opinions about how much money we need to be spending. And that's a board decision, that's not obviously that's not our call. But what we can do is try to approach it more than one way and try to touch our bases and have a how we're gonna pay, how much, in other words, and then how we're going to put this together in some different ways that will be easier for the board to consider. But this business about next time looking at cost with that input from him, anyway, from that firm in Lubbock, is a big deal. You know, we got to know how much it costs, because one thing we don't have is a whole ton of money to throw at it.
But we're not ready to have an architect in here, are we?
I can't help but think, you know, after we've met 7 times, that we can benefit from having an architect answer some of our cost questions.
But when you say architect, these guys want to come in and use what we have and tell us how much it's going to
Yeah.
cost to fix, do these things.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we think of architect, well, we're building a new building, but really, we're not.
No.
Not yet. I
Not
mean, we
yet.
got to fix the problems that we have.
Right.
Use what we have,
Right.
and then, if this is what we present, then we'll have us a new high school.
Very
Right,
good, Shannon.
but we have to have all those points very
And
clearly.
they're good at what they
Yeah.
call, what he call it, I don't know what.
Renovation.
Yeah, but.
They combine-
Shelf life.
They'll take a building like Bailey, what they're known for the best. They'll take a building like Bailey and tear down the part of the back. Let's say it's the back hall.
what
And
you're
do
talking
what,
about.
and use
And then they will
what.
come
Use
in
what
and take what's
fit to
left
use.
and update it and build a building into it. It's one of the reasons we chose them.
That's really good. And they're really friendly. Those guys are really friendly.
Well, we know that.
We have,
Yeah.
the parts of Bailey that's no good is, it's gonna cost so much money to fix, is the back hall and the
We
cafeteria.
got kids that have to have a place for 5 years or whatever it's gonna be, and we're gonna use what we have. But
We can use some,
immediately,
and I'm not
to me,
sure how much of it.
Mr. Jones,
Yes, sir.
like I said, the committee, what we're gonna listen to, some of us just sat up there to be quiet, but one of what's going on in his head. We're gonna tell what we've seen out there when we was out there trying to pass bonds in the
Yes.
past. People will shoot at you and kick you and spit on you and everything else. They said we're gonna tell them the truth, what we wanted, what we needed, and everything. And so we've got to be just as transparent as we can. Our enrollment, we got a study on this the other day.
Mhm.
Last 10 years, about 709 kids.
709 children. And what, about 6,000 apiece?
And that's about $4 million.
Yeah.
Let's talk about money. Well,
Let's talk about it,
you
yeah.
know,
How we
and
gonna
so
do
we've
it?
got to fix it.
Board, I wanna commend y'all.
Staff goes that way, goes up, but I want a bigger band hall, Mr. Jones. I promise y'all want a bigger band hall, because you got one of the finest programs in the state of Texas going on. Coach Emily, I want to get out of that flood zone down there in baseball, you know, and softball, and football field, because the football field can be multiple uses. We can't even have a regulation track in here for a kid. And that's what they tell you down Teddy. You've got to have something that ties the kids to want to come to Northmar. Northmar used to be sitting out here, and Parrish used to be sitting over there. And now, we got 3 school districts inside the city of Memphis Parish, and they can choose kind of where they want to go. Everything's up there, it's nice to them. So we've got to do something to try to entice them. That's just like when you say, son, get up and go to work. Well, get up and go to school. Get up and go to school. Get up and go to school so you go get your job by your own pickup. They get roll out of bed. I mean, that's what they tell you down there. And so anything to get the kids want to come to Northmar, our taxpayers invest, they said, show us where you can save money, so where you can save money.
Yes.
And we're going to have to, I mean, you can't say we're going to put a high school here and everything else is falling down around us. So we've got to do something from elementary all the way. Just keep that in your mind. I mean,
one thing.
I like what I'm hearing out there, folks.
Red, one thing that you said that I really, is that people do pay attention.
Yes.
And when the parents are talking about their children, they pay close attention, and the grandparents do, and all the relatives. And we got a bunch of people kin to each other here.
Save a little money.
Now, the board has done such a good job tonight on observing. I want to brag on y'all. Every one of you, I bet you at least once had to bite your tongue. And I appreciate all the patience y'all had with us, because we don't know as much as y'all. We don't know as much as administration. We don't know as much as the architects look at all this stuff. But you know what? When it comes time, we're going to get this bond or whatever it is, and our renovation efforts passed and worked, because we're going to work together on it. And I'm really happy about the diverse nature of our committee, and I want to encourage y'all. And board, thank you for giving us the opportunity. When do y'all want to meet again? Y'all think about it? Last week in April or first part of May? I want to talk to it, see if we can get the guy here. Promise. When do y'all want to do it? Is Monday night okay, first of all? Is Monday okay with everybody? Okay. So we're looking at 15, 17, 21, 7, 28. You want to get 28? Or do you want to go third 3 weeks?
29th is the
29th, it's 15th. 15, 7, 22, and 7, 29. I am tired. Yeah, I was tired. Which one do you want to do? 29th, okay? Or do you want to wait another week? It's okay, whatever y'all want to do. Yeah, that's right. You're right about that. So is that okay with everybody? And we'll contact the ones that weren't here and try to fill in on some of this, try to improve our...
April the 29th?
Yes, sir.
6 p.m. right here?
Home base, right here. And we'll try to have some water and snacks if we can do that. Does anybody mind if we have any snacks and water? Does anybody care? I'm going to get us some water. Maybe it's something that you can like.
Barbara, if you can follow the rule that you bring something for everybody's over there sipping on.
Oh, let me tell you, this guy and these different people, they know how to put on a feed. I mean, they know how to do that. It's not a problem. We can do that. 29th, 6 o'clock. Anybody else have a word for the words of
Anybody
wisdom?
opposed to having hamburgers at that?
Hamburgers is the word. I love hamburgers.
Okay, we have to get work done though. We'll be till 9 o'clock.
Well, you know, we could start our eating at about 5:30 and then start about 6 o'clock. Let's do it. I'll have to cook them.
I want to thank the committee for y'all work and everything. April the 30th, let me make this little announcement. April the 23rd, down here.
Oh, that's right.
Athletic facility. There'll be some recognition going on down there. A lot of our facilities will be named. I believe the Northmar Band's going to be on that labor good. And then there'll be a ball game taking place between Northmar and Parish.
Not for Clinton, out there.
But I want y'all to, 6 o'clock, all right. Customize. Sir? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. One word before we adjourn, customize. Some of you are voicing whether your opinion is so great or not. It is great. It is great. Customize. That's customize. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, man.